Hello and welcome back to our continuing adventures on the Let's Defend platform. Figured, got a couple of stuff done, got my BTL one done, so let's jump back to Old Faithful, as it were. And in the timely manner, they have come out with an exercise for the latest happening thing in the InfoSec community, that being CVE 2022-30190, or basically a malicious Word document spawning msdt.exe and basically leading to running applications after that point, or injection. I think it's supposed to be, or it's considered what, remote code execution? I'll find a couple of the walkthrough or discussions in regards to the CVE. I'll put them in the video description. Or I suppose we could just take a look at the biggest thing. And I know that I think enough of this has been reverse engineered, so you have like Huntress, John Hammond with them. They've created or John's created, maybe with help, maybe with not, I don't know the full details, but effectively a Python script that will allow you to go through and do all that stuff. It's on basically for the CVE. Well, I know they got guidance. Supposedly Defender, along with a bunch of other stuff turned on, will do it. Disable, yeah, so their big guidance is basically disabling msdt, but that's neither here nor there, but we'll save that for later. So we are getting alert. So this is SOC173, Fiona O'Day detected, event ID is 123, type is malware, severity medium, and the date June 2nd, 2022. So I am only actually doing this supposedly a day after, as it is the 3rd of June. So let's see, this is underneath the Security Analyst Path, not the Incident Responder. And we've got the host name in question. So we go endpoint, JonasPRD, and we can take a look at the logs there. What do we have? Source IP, so let's go, okay, I don't need case management. I do need this though. All today and all the same point, so proxy and firewall. Config edge skype.com. XML formats, Office Word, word processing drawing. Was that the one? Okay. Word processing drawing, so the same thing for XML format. So we're having trouble connecting to that site. I do have the latest web Firefox installed, right? Yes, I do. And I am on the VPN, and that, but none of the security software flagged. That might be something we might want to look at a little bit later. And of course, so we're looking for, this is the second, so it's going to be what, 02/06/2022. There's only one hit on the browser, apparently, during this time frame. Yeah, it's got to be because there's no 13th month in the way that this is formatted. And so that's our only hit in the browser. So browser history, one item. There we go, command history. And I'm just making sure, yes. Okay, and so the typical way that this has been used so far is that it does do, as we're seeing in the first line here, it is running task kill to knock off any existing currently running sessions of msdt.exe. And it looks like it grabs a RAR file, certutil decode 1.t 1.c expand 1.c and run rgb.exe. I think that rgb.exe's been mentioned before on a bunch of different aspects. Network connections. And we'll build this sucker out. What do we have? I'll probably have to put these in order, but that's fine. So there's going to be 4 matches, apparently, and we'll get those put into some semblance of order. Okay, so so the first one technically needs to be the last one. So it's interesting. Network connections, we don't have anything that matches up with the browser history for 2049. June 2nd. Closest we have is 1948, and that is a 157.240.238.14. And this supposedly occurs at 1520, somewhere around that time, given the command history. Okay, so network connections are going to help us a whole heck of a lot. And we're looking at this, and we see the, oh yeah. We have confirmation that, okay, so there's the dock. There's not like a RGB or anything else like that in here, right? Okay, so here's the command window that we get in the command history. Read only, admin, temp. Of course, we don't have a time on any of this stuff, so I can't necessarily root it all out. At least not at this particular moment. So I'm going to keep some of this stuff here. And I'm just going to clean the rest of this stuff up. There's not really a whole lot to show. It's basically just me running a just copying and pasting and moving stuff around in my Notepad++ notes section for this stuff. Okay, so we've got enough. And then obviously part of the exercise is that we're given a download for a document. I've already pulled that down, extracted it, uploaded it to VirusTotal, and at least in this particular instance, 40 out of 60. And it is actually labeling it as CVE 2022-30190 and denoting it's an exploit. So let's see our big players. So our Bitdefender, our ESET, our, well, of all things, Microsoft even picks that thing up. Symantec, yeah, well, Kaspersky picks it up. So what about things like CrowdStrike or Sentinel-1? Are any of those on this list? I thought they were. Oh, undetected. I'd be kind of interested to see as to how that would work out. Cyber Reason, CrowdStrike Falcon. Okay, not able to process the actual documents themselves. Okay, so I think we definitely have confirmation that there's some bad stuff inside here. And this is 30 minutes ago at the time of recording. And look at that. What do we see? Reaching out to that XML formats. So the question, I mean, that was something that we observed this reaching out to, right? Invoke expression, system text encoding, char 58, char 58. And then we got a bunch of base 64 that's inside. So, Cyber Chef, if you would please. Let's break down what these base 64 encoded string is. And basically where I'm getting that from is, so we go process list. It's this section right here. As you're reading the PowerShell, as this stuff runs through, or at least when you're reading the coding from base 64 string. So plop that in from base 64. And that was the other aspect of the code that we saw. The second line in for command.exe, and also the second item in the command history. Okay, I think we definitely got confirmation that there's some bad crap going on here. So how did it end up here? Oh, that's, okay, yeah. Invitation for an interview. Radio Sputnik at ria.ru to Jonas at letsdefend.io. And it looks like 1:51 p.m., so that is before the 2... When did it fire? 3:22 p.m., so well enough. The file name matches 05-2022-0438. So same thing that we have here. It's going to be what underneath names, isn't it? Yeah, right here. So we have enough stuff here, and we've got, so the IP address in question is going to be the 141, which interestingly enough, it does not show up in the network connections. But thankfully, the perimeter firewall / proxy picked it up for us. So we've got an IP address in question. And we've also got confirmation that it is indeed a poison document. Excuse me. So yeah, this stuff was allowed to run. We've got to get that sucker quarantined. Although I really wish I could figure out where in this thing it denotes that XML formats. Short of actually looking at this to see that it reaches out to it. But apparently this must be a well-known domain for it. Apparently it was supposedly still live. It was submitted late May. And it's basically just replying back with everything. Of course, not that I can actually get that sucker to come up currently, but, well, do we really need it? Not really. Okay, so let's go ahead and take ownership and let's see what they want to know. So we'll get a case created. Bing, bang, boom. Start the playbook. Define. Well, it's definitely not the antivirus one. We don't get any sort of indication of anything else, at least from our current point. But also, we're not jumping into the system to tear the stuff apart. We're just taking a look at the stuff that's there. Unknown or unexpected outgoing internet traffic. Well, it's either going to be that or other, because we do have the, you know, outgoing stuff to that XML page at the 141, 105, 65, 149. But by the same token, it's also, we've got a detection from a parent. No, it doesn't say that it's AV related. So I guess I'm just going to take a guess. I'm going to say unknown or unexpected outgoing. Malware quarantined and cleaned. AV action was allowed, so it was not quarantined. Analyze. Yes, it is malicious. The C2 was accessed. We've already done containment. Now, fill in. Sure, I can do that. Okay, so value is the MD5. This is the maldoc. Wrong button. Then we'll go to email, I guess. So, although technically, okay, if we're not doing any sort of business in Russia, specifically with the RIA.ru, let's just block the entirety of the domain and just be done with it. Email sender. Email domain. This is kind of self-explanatory on that. And then we have URL and an IP address. And so the IP address we would find in the log management. There's the URL. Actually, let's just do this because there's going to be a couple that we'll probably want to add to a watch list in case this comes back. So let's put IP address first. I'm going to say this is just C2 IP, and we're going to add URL address. How many of these show up in the log management? Okay, we're not going to do the Skype. XML formats. XML formats. Drawing. So XML formats the process word, the drawing, and then the actual HTML there. So let's work this backwards. So we need 3 of them. I mean, realistically, it's kind of overkill, but okay, so this one is just drawing, and then this is just the domain itself. And we're just going to do C2 domain, copy and paste that into the other sections, and there we go. Email sent from. with subject of interview or invitation for an interview to on was executed. Closest we can find is 1520, so I'm gonna say 3:20 p.m. to XML formats. Right? Formats? Yes. .com. Confirmed payload execution via system process history command history. Spell it right. We don't have anything really in network connections except for well after the point. And the browser history doesn't really help us because that's well after the point too. So, and perimeter logs. Permittee. There. Right? Follina. I suppose we could do one better. Let's include the subtag in our case, in case somebody doesn't have any idea what the Fiona aspect of this is, if they ever go back and read it. And we'll see what shakes out. A little bit shaky on that first question being answered. So I guess we'll find out momentarily. This was a true positive. We'll just dump in the note. Let's see. Well, if your answers are correct. God, I never get tired of that. But apparently I got it right. Apparently, I guess there's not an aspect in there in regards as to what tripped everything out. Did they do a write-up already? No, they have not. Well, maybe I should put this out beforehand so I can get marked on there as the official write-up, like before. So yeah, kind of some scary stuff with all this. Although I think technically it's, or when this stuff is executed, you get the sub-process of the msdt.exe of Windward. So depending as to whether or not, if you've developed your defenses for sub-processes spawning from Microsoft Office documents, like say to deal with Emotet, you might be able to do just a little bit of retooling to counter this as well in the same vein. I think the last place I worked, we were able to get in a section for rules that prevented sub-processes from spawning of Office documents. So I think Adobe Acrobat as well, just in case something tries to pop out and through. But yeah, so I'll get a couple of the documents together, add them to the video description. Wow, sub 30 minutes. Just done so many cyber defenders exercises that took multiple hours. So it's kind of nice to go back to sub 1 hour videos to an extent. But so there we go. That has been SOC 173 for the Follina, I don't know, 0-day with malicious Word documents. And with all that being said, I will see everybody in the next video.